So in doing that, unfortunately, you don't address everything, right? But ideally, this reboot, quote unquote, would run parallel to the current format. That would be the ideal thing. If I was thinking about the most effective thing that's going to get the most people back, it would be to actually replace it. Because then the word gets out, Yu-Gi-Oh got rebooted. It's not the same game. You can come back and play actual Yu-Gi-Oh, and this is the one format. But that's not fair. Not only do I think that that's not fair, I think it's going to alienate a big portion of the player base. But if I'm being objective, that's what I would do. If I'm using my heart or, thinking about everyone, it would run parallel to the actual current meta. But even if you were to reboot the game and replace it, that doesn't stop, nobody's stopping me from playing Goat and Edison. Nobody's stopping you from playing any other format. The problem, though, is with that is there's a reason why Konami doesn't promote those formats. There's a reason they're not in Master Duel, because those are like Edison and Goat are closed formats. So what does that mean? They can't make money on it. They can do reprints of different artwork and stuff, but they can't make new cards for those formats. And that's a problem because I'll be the first to admit, Edison is my favorite, but it gets boring because there's nothing new coming out for it, right? So it has to be done in such a way where it allows for new product to be printed. There's some sort of ongoing either rotation or expansion of the game. That's important. Whether it should replace the main format or not and get rid of it altogether, whether it should run parallel, I don't know. I think the best solution is for it to run parallel, is my opinion. But people were saying oh, you just want to do things the way that you want to do on that reboot video. And you're not thinking about the people that like Goat, they like Edison, they like the current format. And it's like, when did I say I was the police and you're no longer allowed to play those formats? You can keep playing them. I'm just saying that maybe the current game shouldn't be the face of the game because that's the first thing that people see. And dude, have you seen if you look at a competitive game, there's so much deck search. There's so much going on the board. It just looks insane for an outsider looking in. If I saw that and I didn't know what's going on, I would gravitate to something like Flesh and Blood that not only looks cool, it's artistically coherent, it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot simpler. Because another thing is the text on the cards. We can go into that now. Why does every Yu-Gi-Oh card have to have a wall of text? Well, because they don't have something like Pokemon does, where they have one-line effects that apply to every single thing. It doesn't matter what Pokemon you're using. If he applies paralysis, paralysis is paralysis. If he applies burn, burn is burn. Same thing with Flesh and Blood. The combo, the go again, same mechanics. Most games realize that this is the way to go. But for some reason with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a wall of text in every single card. And you might even say, okay, but that's, newer players, we kind of get it. Man, I took a small break from this game. And maybe I just have a pea-brain memory, but I quit, it took a break right when the Snake Eye format started. I played a little bit of that. I'm like, all right, this is not for me. I got back into it 3 days ago with the same deck, the same Mathmech Cyber Pile deck that I was playing. I had to relearn how those cards, I got the general idea of it, but I'm sitting there, why am I spending 2 hours relearning the deck that I knew how to play 3 months ago? Because there's just that much to remember. It's almost like this, you have, dude, I have work to think about. I have my family, I have, I'm thinking about other things. So it's just so demanding for the average person. And I talk a lot about the little Timmys and the 40-year-old electrician Toms. For me and you, and maybe more you guys even than me, we're in the current game, so we're evolving with it as it goes. So it's not that foreign to us, how it works. And we know the meta. We don't have to read every single card. But, dude, for an electrician that's coming home after a 9 to 5 or something, getting home, sitting down, and having to read every single card of the current meta to just be able to play and people not get pissed off at him. Not even to compete, just to go to locals and, not piss someone off. You can't sit there and read every card for 2 hours. And then you throw little Timmy in the mix. Dude, little Timmy would have a seizure trying to learn current Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think I think I felt the same way, and I just played Trap Tricks last year. And Trap Tricks is, I guess, relatively simpler. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Even when going from, I think I stopped, when was it? Right when, it was sometime when prank kids became a thing. And then I got back into it right at the end of tournament format. And then I'm just and it did feel like a little bit of a different game. I had to like relearn certain interactions, and I'm just like, why does like before I would throw like 2-3 hand traps at you, and that would like, that would pretty much stop you. And now I'm throwing every interruption I have at you, and like you keep going. You still made like almost a full board, and now, and like. And every card having a line of text, I do definitely agree with it. It's like
what happened to draw 2 cards? What happened?
Right. It's almost like you're just like you have to learn the game by reading the cards. Mm-hmm. That's instead of having just like universal rules and things like that, right? And
I think I see your point in running parallel formats. I think that's a very interesting idea that no one's really thought about. That these formats if these formats come out with card specific, if Konami comes out with cards specific to these formats, maybe that's a way for them to make money on the game, and I think that's a very interesting thing to think about. I think a lot of people are thinking of the game and your criticisms as how it is right now. They're not really thinking. They're not really conceiving this new kind of game you've thought about.